Oh my God. Hey, everyone. Hi. Welcome to Lunch Break with ATI. My name is Cindy Collins. I'm one of the co-founders of Actors Theater of Indiana, the resident professional theater company at the Center for the Performing Arts in Carmel, Indiana, US of A. And today I have my pal, one of my besties, Billy Kimmel. And Billy is directing and is also in the current production of Forbidden Broadway, which is running. We opened Friday, and we what a whirlwind
Yeah.
of a week that always is. But we opened Friday, and the show runs to May 12th at the Studio Theater over at the Center for the Performing Arts. So please come see it. It's a fantastic show, and I haven't been. I usually host the podcast, but I haven't been here for 3 weeks. 3 or 4, I think. So Meg Osborne, the marketing director for ATI, took over. So thank you, Meg, so much. And but
Because you
now
have
that
so much time in your
I
schedule.
was very yes, I was just eating bonbons. We were just hanging out.
Yeah.
You know, I was just visiting. We were hanging. But anyway, so it's nice to be back here on a Wednesday, and of course with Billy. And so anyway, like I said, he just directed. I think ATI's done Forbidden Broadway about 5
times.
different productions.
Yes.
This is the 5th production. Oh
All
my.
the way back to
2009?
2009. Well, this might be our 6th. 9/11, 2011.
9/11.
2011 was one.
2009, 2011. We went downtown.
18
We went downtown.
on 18.
Then we did 2019.
Mm-hmm.
This is
This is the 5th.
This is 5.
5.
2024. This is the 5th production. And they're never the same. Explain,
No.
Listen, explain to everybody, because they're not going to understand what Forbidden Broadway is. Explain the whole concept and how it started years ago. This show has been around for 40
2 years, actually.
Yeah,
It was just celebrated its 40th anniversary
Okay.
in the last year they did it. Yes, I've been calling it 40/40 for lunch break.
Oh, that's good.
Because it was 1982, so that's really 42 years ago. But
Yeah.
40 years ago, it really caught on as an off-Broadway production by 5 actors who weren't getting cast. And out of their frustration, and it took off like crazy, and over 40 years has become a rite of passage for every Broadway performer who makes it. If they get lampooned in Forbidden Broadway, they've made it.
Yeah.
And stars show up, and big stars, movie stars who are doing Broadway shows, or Broadway stars, Stephen Sondheim.
When she was
Carol
alive,
Channing.
Liza Minnelli.
And the reason I call this 40/40 is that 40 years ago, that started in different ways, touring and in the city. But the show's 40 years, and I've known you for 40 years.
Oh my God.
We met in college.
We met in college at Ohio University.
And it's 40 years since I met you. So hard to believe.
That does kind of make sense, yeah, because we won't say our ages, but that totally makes sense. Oh my
I know
God.
that just gave us a
that
big
just stopped
mind
us.
trip.
That just stopped us in our tracks. But originally, Forbidden Broadway was started by Gerard Alessandrini and really Nora May Ling. Nora May was a really good friend of his, so he's the creator. This was his brainchild,
Right.
And Gerard, who is brilliant in my opinion, started this right, like you said, in '82. They just started doing this as a cabaret down in the village.
Well, as skits, really.
Yeah.
And then they decided to ask 2 of their friends to join them and putting it together, and it just caught on, and they moved up into a space on the east side called Paulson's, I believe, at the time. No longer exists.
No.
Little bitty tiny place that maybe held 50 people maximum, and it just caught on within the community of Broadway. And people would sneak over there and they'd want to see it. And I remember one time when I first went to see it, and I was in high school, because I was a big fan, and Toady Fields was sitting next to me, and
Oh
you know,
my
and
God.
probably many younger people knew who she
No,
was.
you don't know who she is, but she was a female comedian.
Comedian.
She was hilarious.
And ahead of her time. She was like
Yeah.
Joan Rivers.
Yes.
And she kept asking me, "Why is this funny?" And I didn't know who she was at the time, but
Yes,
then
exactly.
then I
It was very
found
bawdy.
out from someone told me in intermission, who is that? And it had "I Love Mandy" on his shirt, but she didn't know who Mandy Patinkin was, and just was cracking me up.
Oh, she was hilarious.
yes.
Oh my God, she was very funny. She used to be on the Merv Griffin show.
Yes,
All the time.
all
They
the
were
time.
really good friends. So yes, so they started this just like any actors would, like
And
you
then
said.
he had a
then
friend,
it grew.
Philip George, who
Yes.
would set the
Yes.
choreo- and stage it. And they still collaborate, and we're collaborating on this recent edition that was supposed to come to Broadway this summer, but
That's
it's now been
right.
postponed
That's right.
because
yeah,
there
it got postponed.
too many Broadway shows that they don't want to compete against, since it's their first Broadway debut, because it's always been off
Yeah,
Broadway.
yeah, it has, and it ran. I mean, it was at the not the John Houseman. It was at the Douglas Fairbanks Theater
Yes.
forever. That's where I
That's
saw
where
you
you
in
saw
it.
me in it,
Yeah,
right,
twice or
exactly.
a few times.
Yeah.
and that's no longer there
That's
either.
gone.
That's gone. A lot of those theaters have been knocked down. Those
Right.
off Broadway theaters.
And then they were at Ninth and like the Puerto Rican Traveling
that
Theater.
they were Puerto Rican Traveling Theater for a while.
Different various
that was. I think that was
places.
their last place they were really like had a show.
Right, and then
Yeah.
New York Theater. They
Oh,
did
yeah,
it
yeah.
at the York
Yeah.
as well.
But it's been in so many. What he did was he took every Broadway season and lampooned the shows. The show was constantly changing. There's a million versions.
Yes.
And so when Billy has always done it for Actors Theater of Indiana, it's the same thing, different version every time. We
have
you
to keep classics.
Keep the traditional ones
Because they bill it as the greatest hits, and there are ones that are very classic. I mean, anything Lion King,
Yep.
Les Miserables,
Les Mis.
and then various star classic ones that we've done,
Yep, yeah.
and then we'll put in new ones
Yeah.
and we did this time as well for this production,
Yeah.
which makes it so
Yep.
each one had its uniqueness that we've done over the years. And I thought that Gerard was done, because he felt like he was running out of
Well, he did
material.
Hamilton, which is a big spoof on Hamilton, so he was concentrating on
Yes.
that, I think. So he just like stopped Forbidden Broadway and wrote Spamilton.
which was a big hit.
A huge hit in New York.
Yes.
And then like if they waiting to go to a Broadway stage.
Yeah, and he was
they're just
feeling like the
waiting.
material and like the big stars like Liza Minnelli and
Cheetah.
Cheetah and all those people. They were sort of gone, not in the vernacular
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
And he felt like I don't really have, and the shows. He's like, I don't really have anything. And he discovered that when he was writing a spoof for Spamalot. And he's like, how do I make this funny? It's already a funny show. And so he sort of took a break, but now
Hamilton,
he's
yeah.
had this resurgence. He feels like he's got a treasure trove again of stuff that
That's
he could
good.
do. So,
But it's
that-
right; those big personalities are not on Broadway anymore, like Ethel Merman and Carol
No.
Channing, and and Patti LuPone is still around.
still there, and Kristen Chenoweth.
Chenoweth is still
Fun
around.
too, yeah.
You could still do all those.
Yes.
Definitely. We do Wickeder, which is spoof on Wicked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's that's in the ATI show. So they're still there.
They're still
but
there.
they're not the big bombastic personalities there used to be that were
Yeah.
easier to.
And
to
some of them
spoof.
are there, but they're known to Broadway. And that community, they're not, people like Carol Channing, Cheetah River, they all ended
National,
up doing national,
nationwide, yeah.
international work,
Yeah.
film and television. So it was very easy
Yeah.
for that to translate. And we don't have that anymore. Be the opposite.
Yeah, I know.
They would do
They're making all the musicals are from movies.
right from movies.
Yeah,
Yep.
those modern movie musicals,
Yes.
as we say. Yes,
But
I
the
know.
Tonys just came out. And,
know.
And
Yeah.
Merrily We Roll Along,
I
which
know,
is
the
an
revival.
old Broadway show of Sondheim's, got great reviews and Tony noms.
Yeah.
So some of the good stuff is still being recognized.
Yeah, I mean
as-
the Broadway seasons change. Sometimes it's like anything.
Right.
There's a for the Broadway shows. Each season. Sometimes it's great.
Yeah.
Sometimes a real gem comes into the
Oh,
picture,
yeah.
and other times sorry, there's nothing I'm interested in seeing.
Yeah.
At all, or nothing. I'm just not interested.
Yeah,
at
like
all.
when Drowsy Chaperone came in, that was like,
That was a
this is the
Yep,
show that
yep,
everybody's going to want to
yep,
see.
yep,
And it was a
yep.
big hit.
And the Who's Tommy is back. That revival.
Tommy is back,
Yep.
and now Merrily is a
Merrily
huge
Roll
hit.
Along. Yep.
Yep, and there's stuff coming
Yep.
in. There's like 14 new shows
Yeah.
coming.
That's good. For every theater company when theater companies across the country plan their seasons too.
Yes,
You know.
exactly.
It's always there's always that little bit of excitement. Or as an actor, you're like, okay, well, what are they doing? What's their season? What's right from? Of course, we're actors. What's right for me?
What's
What's
right for me?
Let me look at. You're looking at the
Or
you know.
ATI. What's right for ATI once it's licensed? Could
Right.
we maybe do this? Because
Right,
it's a
right,
great show. I know
right.
you've been wanting to do Come From Away for a long
And
time.
still not available.
Still not available.
Still not
Will
available.
be eventually.
Still not available. There one theater in Colorado got it through special permission.
Yeah.
And I saw that they're doing it, and this all I could think of was, how did they get this? And
Yeah.
it was a special permission that they
Yeah.
had connections and got it. But it's still not available.
Right.
And what a great
great show for you guys.
What a great show, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just a wonderful show anyway. Okay, now I know all this information, but
Yes.
but for the viewers, okay, you grew up in Pittsburgh, outside of Pittsburgh, I know, because
yeah.
I've been to your parents' house,
Yeah.
years ago. But yeah, Pittsburgh kid, go.
Yes.
Disney all over the place.
Well, I say
Kid
Pittsburgh
of the
because
kingdom.
yes,
Come
Kids of
on.
the Kingdom. Oh my gosh, I say Pittsburgh because it's the touchstone that everybody can place where that is in Pennsylvania. I actually grew up 60 miles south of Pittsburgh,
Okay.
little town called South Connellsville, Pennsylvania, and wonderful place to grow up. My sister still lives there.
Yes.
Hi Sharon, if you're watching.
Sharon, do
And
my hair.
yes, my hair. When I got my hair cut. And I grew up there, and when I first went to college, Disney came to town, and they were having a new thing. Epcot Center had just opened, and they were developing this thing called the Magic Kingdom College Program. And I went to audition. I was a computer science major, and I couldn't see myself sitting in front of that green screen
dear
for my
God, no.
whole life. So I went, and they weren't looking for entertainers. They were looking
Mm-hmm.
for people like hotel, motel, economics. And they sent me to Point Park College in Pittsburgh. And they said, hey, they're going to be there looking at singers and dancers
Mm-hmm.
in 2 weeks. Why don't you go there? And I did. And they made a program the first year for me and this girl from Wisconsin.
Oh my gosh.
And we were there for 6 months, and we learned every show in the park, including the parade, which almost killed me. On that park, and then they had to divide the parade up into 2 shows because
Yeah.
people were passing out doing it. And that led me to so much more because it really sort of opened my horizons to the
Sure.
world. Coming from a very small town.
And you worked for Disney all through college. You go
I
down there in the
did.
summer.
And after
you
my
know?
first year, I realized I need to go to a bigger college and I need to learn to act, I think. And that's when I
Well, I
went to
don't know
OU.
if that happened, where we went, but we taught ourselves.
Yeah, we taught ourselves.
basically. What do you think? Oh, great.
And that's where I
the thing. So we're there,
yeah.
and we sing. We're singers,
Yeah.
and no one else really sang.
No.
I mean, one other person in my class did.
Right.
My friend Leslie really was a singer. No one else really did. It was a theater program. They
Right.
were like, we are theater. And I went over to the music department and
Yep.
took lessons. So did you. I took
went
private
and
voice.
I went to the dance
Me
department.
too.
And I was one of the only
Me
2
too.
guys. It was
Yeah.
modern dance.
Yeah.
Disney wanted me to come, and that was
Well,
way
that
more
that
money.
money is so much better.
And then the head of the department dubbed me the song and dance man.
yeah.
But hey, I mean, it was a great. I mean, come on, it was Disney, and I had to do that. But I did stay for a summer.
I did too.
And I did Dames at Sea.
Yes, I remember when you
put
did
it.
that.
Yeah, I did that, and
Yeah.
then and we did a couple of things together.
Strider.
Well,
I'm sure you've all heard of it. It's very popular.
You play a horse.
My
Everyone's
God,
a
you
horse.
play a horse. Music. So here we are. You're a singer. I'm a singer. No one else in the by Brendan Behan. Another one I'm sure you've heard of.
And if they did a musical, we were usually cast, even if we were undergrads, because sometimes they were the graduates that did it, because they needed it. They needed
the
us.
singers, yeah.
Right, they needed the singers.
Yeah.
Yep.
But we made it through.
Yeah.
We got through. we survived. I think it really, going through a program like that was going through a transition itself and really wasn't up to snuff sometimes.
Yeah, it had been
It had really gone through
they were developing it, and they were bringing younger blood into it, and it was interesting because we don't just take theater classes. You do have to take your basic classes, your elective courses that any college requires a student to do. And one of my fondest memories of Cindy is my senior year. I couldn't type a lick.
I couldn't either.
Couldn't type a lick. And Cindy would come and help me. She would type up my finals for
that's
me.
when you had to type your papers.
Yes.
So he had this old typewriter. Tick, 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 tick. He had a cat.
Yeah. My cat.
Dempsey.
Dempsey.
With like 7 paws or whatever he had. Boxing gloves. But we made it through that program, and I think it really, when you go through something like that, it teaches you to be very independent, very resilient, and think for yourself.
That's right.
We really had to do things for ourselves. So it teaches you, because you have to, or else you're going to be left in the dust. You're going to be left with nothing. It taught us to be assertive. They were foolish.
Right.
They were foolish and not
They
working
should have
together.
been, but they weren't.
I don't even know if they are now. But
Point Park and Carnegie Mellon,
Carnegie
Northwestern,
Mellon very good
their
schools.
Departments all work like that. They're
very
big
good
theater schools.
Ball State does too.
But doing it yourself, you go to these auditions, it's up to you. No one's going to do it for you.
Nope.
And
it's all you.
That's right.
It's all you, and it's all like, you can't force anybody to do anything. You walk in. If they don't want you, they don't want you. You could have given a great audition.
Yeah.
There's a saying that Judy, a friend of Judy's, she says, if they're looking for a blue couch and you're a green couch, forget it. There's nothing you can do.
Yes.
It's just, you don't know what their vision is.
And
all
so
the time.
much is in New York. I remember Doug saying to me, his friend Marcy McQuiggan said,
Doug is Doug Trapp,
yes,
Billy's partner.
I'm going to get this because they're looking for a dancing penguin with blonde hair. And she's like, I'm going to get this. There's no one else. And I walk in and there's 7 of them sitting there waiting to audition.
Of course.
That's New York.
Of course.
That is New York.
But that's our business,
Yeah.
And that's our hub is New York City. You have about 500 women behind you.
Yeah.
Who can do the same thing you can. Everybody's different and unique, but
yes.
Everybody is, but that's just the beast that it is. That's
right,
just
and
the
to
nature
work
of the
in New
beast.
York is challenging to get a show in the city. So you end up getting
I used to love
work
working in the city. Like, it's great when you get a show in the city.
in the city.
You don't have to sublet your apartment. You're like, oh my God, I'm home and I'm working.
And I'm working
There's
actor
nothing
in New
better.
York City.
Nothing better
Exactly.
than being able to get a gig right there where you live.
And when I was doing Forbidden Broadway, it was like that. It was like I'm working as a working actor in a well-known show. It was like that when I got the tour with Martin. And
but Annie, that's right.
the Annie tour. I was good friends with him.
Yeah.
And otherwise you work outside the city in many aspects. And
100, almost 90% of the work is regional.
Right.
In our tours, regional tours
and
and
here I
regional
am
and
in a
ships.
regional theater and in a great
that's how it
ATI in
happens.
Carmel. And it's always nice to come here.
Yeah, well,
It
I
is.
like it,
It
and
is.
I like coming and seeing you, of course,
Yeah.
which is always awesome.
It's a nice respite, and I've
Yeah.
got great hosts.
Yep, Linda Goki and Don Katz.
That's
Woo!
right. They're great.
Shout out, they are awesome. They
They-
house the actors.
Yes, they've
for
hosted
ATI.
me 4 times, I think now.
Yeah.
And of course, I have my favorite places I like to go and eat.
Yes, Patachou.
Patachou.
The coffee there, the iced coffee there is
iced
very
latte.
good. Is very
It's
good.
worth driving across country for. if you're watching us
very
outside
good.
of Carmel.
We basically were addicted to that in rehearsal. Billy's like, I got you one.
Well, I was
like,
trying to
"Oh."
lose a little weight, so they give you this cinnamon toast, which is off the
That's
hook,
deadly.
delicious.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can you package that up for me? I'll take it and give it to Cindy because she has no fat on her body at all. She's basically an athlete. And I'm like, here, I brought you something to drink and eat this toast
And eat
so
this
I won't.
toast, please, so you don't faint in rehearsal. So you can be Mary Martin.
Right.
Exceptional director. He knows the ins and outs of this show. Like, I mean, just he's one of the, he's just one of the people that know Forbidden Broadway so well because of working with Gerard and the team, the team. And I worked with Gerard years ago.
Yeah.
It's my first off-Broadway show. And I was in Gigi.
Gigi.
And he loves that movie. I think Gerard
I did.
loves that movie.
I did a spoof
apparently.
of that
Yeah.
in the show you saw, Maurice Chevalier.
Yes, yes.
Thank heaven for we have Les Mis.
Yes. Oh my God.
Well, the thing about Gerard is he really
he's nice too.
He's a nice guy,
man.
and his ingenious lyrics. I mean, just when you think, he's had some like okay, and then one comes along, I'm like, wow, that is just
He hits
who
gold.
would have thought it?
He hits gold.
Hits gold.
Yep.
But he has a specific vision, and it makes total sense. And I really carried that with me, working with him, because I was really in New York. I was kind of thrown in the show too. They called me on an Easter Sunday, and I had to learn it in 4 days.
Yeah.
And I was scared to death, and he really knew how to. He got me there in 4 days, and I remembered that and appreciated
that's
that.
not easy.
No. It was a great learning experience, and I was able to take his style of training people and adapt that myself to help train people as well. And we had that experience as well.
And you
training
do.
Cynthia.
I mean, you just know the ins and outs, and so everything, what to tell the actor what to do. I mean, and to get them there. You do that too. To get them there, is because you're not playing the people, you are imitating them.
Right.
Because it's a spoof.
Yep.
But it's still it's not easy sometimes,
No,
I mean,
it's
really not.
Especially if you've never really explored a show like this.
Right.
And I remember years ago, because I went through the same thing when I first worked with you guys here on it. I said, okay, now in dress rehearsal or a couple days before that, you're going to have a panic. Like, there's no way we can do this. There's no way I'll make that change. And I said to them, you will be able to do it.
Yeah.
And they did not believe me, and they did, of course. And
almost.
and we have two new people in this show. We're veterans to it here.
Yeah.
And I had to say the
people.
same thing. And there was that moment, I think they were kind of like, how are we going to do
It's
this?
the costume changes that are a whole other show as well.
It is,
backstage.
yeah.
So you have the show on stage, and then you have the show backstage with the costume changes, which are lightning speed. We have one dresser, Laura. She's wonderful.
Yeah.
But she cannot,
She can't be everywhere.
She can't be everywhere, and also it almost inhibits to do the change yourself is almost better.
And it's a
sometimes
show in
'cause
itself, which you could sell tickets, but it'd have to be rated PG because,
right.
we're half naked back there
Right.
trying to
I mean,
change.
You're changing.
But that's really what tires you out the most is
Yes.
the change is you're just
what it is.
exhausted from changing. It's not what you're doing on stage that tires you out, it's what you're doing backstage.
It's like lightning speed getting those costumes.
Yeah.
One night, and then and the dresser and she's the dresser and basically the deck manager. She's wonderful. She's really great. But there's four of us.
Right,
one
and
of
things do
her,
happen.
And of course they do.
When one year you famously came out the other night, my pants fell down because
Yes,
they
it was
didn't
fun.
get buttoned
It was
enough,
fun.
and I had to be out there.
Just open Friday,
Right.
And we've had like how many things happen just
But
first
the audience
performances.
loves that side of it too, because they want to see if you're going to keep it together. And
Yeah.
we pretty much did, except
oh.
I made up my lines.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah.
I was so
yeah.
concentrated on that, but
Yeah.
but it was fun.
Odd.
And when the audience laughs, and at the beginning, because we do, it's very Saturday Night Live start. It's sort of this faux start. There's a sort of a skit that fools you. But what it does is it sets up the audience who's never seen this show before, kind of sets them up, and they immediately know after that skit, oh,
This is what we're in for.
that's what we're in for.
Yeah. And you're right. You do say it's like Saturday Night Live.
it is like
spoofing.
Saturday Night
It's
Live put to in Broadway, put together.
Broadway.
Or not.
Maybe they did.
And he likes to end the show generally on a positive,
On a nice, loving note.
loving note, because we
Yeah.
do spoof Broadway shows and
Yeah.
people, and sometimes it's a little biting. But he wanted the audience to know and Broadway to know that no, we love Broadway. We love everyone we're doing this to.
Yeah.
It's just a send up,
Yeah.
and that's how actors are. If you're, what's the club in New York that all the comics go to? And they lampoon each other.
Oh,
there.
the Friars Club.
The Friars Club.
The Friars Club.
If you're,
I had to think for a minute.
if they're lampooning you there, and like Broadway, if you're being made fun of,
love you.
then it's
They love
because they
you.
love you.
Yeah.
And that you're great,
Yeah.
and that's why
You're
you know,
worth lampooning.
right. And it's
Yeah.
funny because there are some really funny things that happen. That and as an actors that you kind of deserve it, but it's great, and you feel part of a community in a club,
That's
so
true.
to speak.
That's true. Yeah, you're in. You're in. You're like, oh my God, they're doing me over at Forbidden Broadway. You're
Right.
in. You know,
'Cause-
like you said, people used to go see it all the time. I mean, I know.
And it's a small world when it comes to
Well, we're very small. I mean, theater world is very small. Everybody
Yeah.
knows each other. Everybody's like 1 degree of separation
Right.
from each other. Seriously.
and now even
I mean,
closer,
really.
half degree with the internet and
Oh my
Facebook.
God, and everybody connected on Facebook. Right. That's
Yeah.
right. And that's true.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, that's
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Now I'm not on the Facebook.
the
I'm
Facebook.
not on the Facebook, but
I'm not on as much, but I do go on, and Doug does a lot of social media, and he just posted for me some things, and he will, when Meg posts like reviews and stuff, he reposts them on Instagram. I have accounts, but I'm very seldom on.
I'm just not good at any of that stuff. It's terrible. Judy does she'll do the Facebook, and so she'll
Yeah.
post everything. And of course, if you have a business, they have to have Facebook. It's just part of you can't not have a Facebook page if you're not any type of a business or
Yeah.
especially a theater organization.
You have to.
has to have a Facebook page.
Yeah.
Any not-for-profit should have a Facebook page. I
Yeah.
mean, yes, I agree with that. But personally, I'm like, yeah.
And I'm tech savvy, but I just
Oh, you're very,
I just don't.
very. My gosh.
I'm just more old school. Plus, I don't like to. I feel embarrassed. I don't like to promote myself.
No,
as-
and that's why we're actors, but I don't like that either. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Even breaking the fourth wall when we used to do a meet and greet after the show because
Yeah.
audience likes to beat you.
Oh,
And I
I
always
can't stand-
hated
couldn't
doing it
stand them.
because I feel like it breaks that sanctum.
to me, it's a magical. The magic's broken.
the magic gets
The
broken.
magic is broken. I never liked doing them. I
Yeah.
would, there were ATI would do them. That stopped right before COVID. Actually,
Yeah.
stopped doing them. And I was so glad because I couldn't stand standing out there in
And
the
this
lobby
show-
because I felt like, oh,
Yeah.
tell me how great I am. I can't stand that.
And this show, we end
know?
up back in our opening, which is nice dresses and tuxes.
Oh, for the end of the show, yeah.
Yeah, so we're sort of not those characters, but I remember when I was doing
Yeah.
Forever Plaid, we had to do it. And I did that show for 15 months. And I did not like it because I felt like
Where
Where
were you doing that? Chanhassen?
Chanhassen.
In Minneapolis?
in Minneapolis,
Yeah.
great production, but we're out there as the characters, but it was me talking, and I
know,
always
it's
felt like it
weird,
ruined
right?
that illusion of
At the end of that show?
at the end of that
they go
show
to
because they
heaven?
go to heaven.
They go to
and-
heaven,
yeah, and which is a
Yeah.
great show if you ever get a chance to
Yeah,
see it.
Forever
You've
Plaid.
done it here a couple times.
Yeah,
I
Forever
think.
Plaid it really is a very sweet show, and it really does have a lot of heart.
Yeah.
I do. I think it's so well written.
Yeah.
Stuart Ross wrote it, and
And great singing,
wonderful. It's 4 guys, 4-part harmony, wonderful, tight 4-part harmony singing. Very
That's
difficult.
the other thing about this show, Forbidden Broadway, is that it's a necessity that all 4 singers are powerhouse singers. There's no exclusion to that. Not only because that's what sets the ground. It's like the ballet of the show. Everything else is all the extra accoutrement and costume on top of that, which adds to the comedy and then comic chops as well.
Right.
But it's a necessity. Everybody can sing.
Yeah, you must be able to be almost like 4 leads. That's
Yes,
what it is.
and then even before
What
the
Judy said is
impersonation,
4 leads.
even before the
Oh,
impersonation,
way before you.
because that will lead to it.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's the entertainment of it, and it's the same thing with Forever Plaid. Those guys have to be super tight. It's
my
based
God.
on like the high lows of the 50s and 60s.
The high-lows, the four
Freshmen,
freshmen.
right, and
You know,
tight
oh my
harmonies,
gosh.
excellent singers,
Yeah.
and then everything else lies on top of it, and that's what makes it a terrific show. So if you come to see, which I hope you will, here at Actors Theater,
Forbidden
Broadway, you
Running to
will.
May 12th. You can get tickets at 800-317-843-3800 or atistage.org. You can get your tickets. Running till May 12th.
Know every show.
You certainly don't.
No.
It's just funny anyway.
It's
You're
but
at least
yeah,
entertained.
you will definitely laugh and forget your troubles for 2 hours for
That's right.
sure.
Forget your troubles. Come on, get happy.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So we're going to wrap it up. I'm glad you came down memory lane with us.
It's fun.
Yeah, it is. I know, always reminiscing, which we do every single day anyway when he's here. Remember that? Remember this? What was her name? I don't know,
Yeah.
but you remember what he did? Oh my God. But anyway, thank you so much, Cindy Collins, Billy Kimmel. Come see Forbidden Broadway and join us next week. I will be here for Lunch Break with ATI. I don't know who the guest is. It's always a surprise.
And get your tickets for
Surprise
the new
me,
season.
too.
It's a terrific
And
season.
my gosh, and Actors Theater of Indiana has announced this season. That's right. So you can also get you can get a subscription, or I think single tickets go on sale like after subscribers
Johnny
get
Cash,
their
Ring of
stuff.
Fire.
Ring of Fire.
She Loves
Me. A Who Done It, which is a murder mystery musical, hilarious.
And 9 to 5.
And 9 Dolly Parton's 9 to 5, baby. So tumble out of bed.
Yeah.
Stumble in the kitchen. So
I need a cup of that ambition right now.
I do too. I'm going to go to Patachou. All right. Thank you so much. We'll stop gabbing and goodbye. Thank you for joining us.